Good day, everybody, and welcome back to LTV. I'm your host, Ray Richard, and we are here for a special episode of Cityscope. It gives me great pleasure today to introduce to you a special guest, ladies and gentlemen, that is from the area, and he's a former hockey player, and I want to introduce Scott Young. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Scott Young to our LTV studio here on Litchfield Street in Leominster. And Scott, thank you for joining us. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you today. I'm glad that you're here. One of the reasons that I brought you here, I asked to have you here, is because you have recently been chosen as the assistant coach for the U.S. Olympic hockey team, Team USA, that's going to Beijing, China. And that is one of the reasons why you're here, and I thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to follow your career through the internet. You get a remarkable career, and I was impressed by everything I looked at. So, for me, it's a pleasure for you to be here, and as a hockey player myself, so be it. So thank you again, Scott, for being here. So, Scott, as we start, let's go back to the beginning. I know that you have been chosen as the assistant coach for Team USA. You're going to Beijing, China. And I'm going to go back to your childhood. You know, you were born in Clinton, Mass. Now you reside in Sterling, Mass. So you're an area hockey. You are it. You are the guy that is a hockey player in the area. So, as I look back at all your accomplishments in hockey, you know, one of the main things is that you've been doing this for a long, long time. And I want to know, you know, when you started the game and how you became who you became. How did that happen?
Well, if we're going to go way back, when I started to play hockey, a former professional hockey player from Hudson, Mass, Tommy Williams.
I know.
And you probably remember that name.
Yes, I do.
My dad was having a beer in Hudson and was talking to Tommy, and Tommy asked, you know, you have a son, how old is he? And he said, oh, he's 5 years old. He said, well, why don't you get him over into the Learn to Skate over in Marlboro? And my dad said, yeah, you know what, that's a good idea. Sure, we'll get him over into Learn to Skate. And it was a week-long camp that was Learn to Skate. And I remember going in there the first day and not being able to stand up, obviously falling down there. Everybody's first time on the ice, you can't stand up. And I remember saying that I wanted to quit. Like, I can't, I'm no good at this. And what happened was my parents said, okay, hey, maybe it's not for you, but like we paid for a week. Just play out the rest of the week. And by the end of the week, I loved it. And, you know, that's how easily it could have not happened.
It could have changed and gone in a different direction. Now, is hockey the only sport you ever played, or you have played different other sports?
I played baseball. Played baseball actually for Leominster. Let me see, Babe Ruth. We went to regionals, played with a lot of the Leominster local players, and then played through high school. And then it just got to be a little bit too much with my hockey schedule. Right. But going to St. Mark's, I played baseball through the 4 years at St. Mark's. We were required to play a couple of different sports. So, so it was fun, but hockey was my passion.
So hockey was your number one passion. That's what you wanted to do. And so you followed your dream. You did everything else. And, you know, and I know a lot of the kids in the area, you know, they all have the same kind of dream. And it's one of those things where it's great to dream and great to dream big, and sometimes it can happen, sometimes it can't. And in your case, you fulfilled your dream and you became what you became, and all the things that you did. You know, some of his resume that he has, ladies and gentlemen, if you really want me to go through a few of the things that he has done, is that presently he's the assistant coach for the Team USA that's going to Beijing, China, but also you are presently employed by the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes,
correct.
I'm the director of player development. This is my 5th year with the Penguins.
So, in reality, what is the player development that you are doing with what kind of a job is that? What kind of work do you do? How does that work?
So we work with all our draft picks and our prospects. So we will go around, watch our draft picks play in college, in Europe, in Major Junior up in Canada, wherever they're playing. We'll watch them play, give them advice on how to to get better. And we're also with our AHL team in Wilkes-Barre, which is the equivalent of the Providence Bruins for Boston. And
Right.
we're there a lot. We're on the ice with the guys, and we're trying to help these guys out, not as coaches, but more of as, to showing them that we care. We want to be it's not just hockey. It might be off-ice stuff. It might be preparation. It might be nutrition. There's all kinds of different things we try to help them out with in life that will help them ultimately be better hockey players. There's a lot of things that go along with it. So development over the course of the years has really started to become such an important aspect of the NHL. We've hired big staff. We never had development when I was coming up,
Right.
when I first got with the Hartford Whalers, and I could have used it because I could have used some advice when I first got there. You're young and naive. You don't know how to act. You don't know how to eat. You don't know how to sleep. You don't know how to do anything.
Exactly.
And we try to help out in a lot of different ways.
So did you see this job coming I'm sure it's all over the NHL now. Now, did you see this job coming personally for you? Or was it something that fell in your lap?
I wouldn't say it fell in my lap. I was working at BU at the time. I was an assistant coach at BU, and I was there for 4 years. And I was over scouting in Bratislava. And I looked around, and there was a scout or two or three from every NHL team at the event that I was at, called the Hlinka tournament. And I knew everybody, and a lot of them were friends. And I kind of started looking around saying, you know what? I'd love to get back in the league. I'd love to get back in. So I started to talk to some guys, and I was very happy at BU, but the NHL, I would have loved to have got back in. I ended up talking to Mark Recchi, a friend of mine that I played with in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
And he was the head of player development at the time for Pittsburgh, and he said, I might be moving on here. He was expecting to move on, and he said, I'll highly recommend you if this happens. And it did happen. He ended up becoming an assistant coach with the Penguins.
Yes.
And so the job opened up. I interviewed with Billy Guerin and Jim Rutherford, and Billy Guerin is a friend of mine that I played with also.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well. I love the job. It's a lot of fun. Keeps you in the game, keeps your passion alive.
Yes, it does, yeah.
So
Good for you. So all you people out there that are wondering what Scott Young has done as a hockey player, I'm just going to give you a little bit of his resume that I have here that I've written down. You can check it out on Google and Google his name and find out everything that I'm going to say here. So he played prep school at St. Mark's. You played 4 years at St. Mark's School in Southborough. Your hockey stats there are incredible. You did the World Junior Championships in 85, 86, and 87. World Juniors, that is 20 and under or 18 and under.
Yes.
And then you went to BU. From St. Mark's, you went to BU Terriers. Now, how did you choose BU? Did they come to get you, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, I was being recruited by BU. I went on a few visits. I went to Providence. I went to BC. I went to UNH for visits. I was getting letters from Michigan and a lot of the big schools out there, but I didn't really want to entertain being that far from home.
Yep.
So I went to BU, and there was a couple of friends of mine, and one of them right now is the head coach of the Olympic team who coached the Rangers, David Quinn.
Right.
But these are guys that I played with in Hockey Night in Boston and became friends with, and they were going to BU. Clark Donatelli was another.
Yeah.
When I went on my visit, and these friendships that I had developed with these guys really helped me in choosing BU over the other schools. And Jack Parker was a big, sitting down with him and looking across the desk and listening to him speak.
Wow.
That was a big thing for me.
So
I knew right away.
So in general, hockey's a small world if you really look at it. I mean, everybody knows everybody from here to British Columbia, whatever. There's people that know everybody in hockey. You can just travel someplace and say, yeah, I played hockey here. Oh, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So it is a small world in retrospect, but it's something else where, you get chosen to do something and you just move on, and people are there that were in your past, and it just keeps on moving on, and you get to where you want to go. And I think it's a tremendous asset to be that kind of, to have that kind of pizzazz in your life and say, okay, yeah, this is a great thing, and you can just choose what you want to do. So, after going to BU, and playing at BU, you only played 2 years in BU.
Yeah.
And you were, your first year, your Rookie of the Year honors for Hockey East, Rookie of the Year honors at BU. And then you moved on. So after 2 years at BU, then you played the World Championship someplace. You played the World Championship, and then you got drafted by the Hartford Whalers. So bring us to that part of your life where being a young 5-year-old kid on the ice, and now you're getting drafted by an NHL team. How did that feel? What was that like?
Well, it was obviously a tremendous feeling. It's something that, it was a different time.
Yeah.
There was no internet. There were no cell phones.
Right.
So you're not the odd time you might read or hear that, hey, you're projected to be in the first round. And, it's like, okay, great. But you're not reading something about yourself every day on your phone.
Right.
And it was just such a thrill to go up and get drafted. And all my family members were there. I had a ton of friends from Clinton were there. They've always stuck by me, and we've stayed close, to this day. There's nothing like friendships from your hometown.
Right.
And it was just a thrill. It was something that I had dreamed of. I won't say that yes, it's your goal.
Right.
But I never even thought that it was achievable, I guess, until I think it was my sophomore year at St. Mark's. I had read in an article that they said I was a prototypical NHL winger. And I remember just that one line stuck with me. Obviously, it stuck with me to this day.
Correct.
That made me think somebody really thinks that I could play in the NHL. Wow. I wasn't arrogant. I was never arrogant or cocky.
Yeah.
I just played, and for someone else to think that, I was kind of blown away by that. And then to go in the first round was a thrill, and to be in Hartford, which was it's right down the street.
Right down the street.
Was great.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, he got drafted in the first round, the 11th pick in the first round. So, as when you look at somebody like Tom Brady, who got picked in the 6th round, and then he goes on to become what he wants. So, being picked in the first round is a special opportunities to do something in your life and get picked up by Hartford. So after 2 years at BU, you went on to Hartford Whalers and played Hartford Whalers your rookie year, but then you stayed another year with Hartford Whalers. And then you played, and there you are, Scott, you're right there.
Yeah, well, what I did, which allowed me to go right into the NHL, was after my second year at BU, I played for the Olympic team in '88. And that's what really allowed me to transition right away and sign with the Whalers and go into the NHL. Because I think if I went in straight from BU after my sophomore year, I think I needed some more time.
Right.
But being able to play in the Olympics that year and play against NHL teams in exhibition games, to play over in Europe against professional teams, we traveled the whole year leading up to the Olympics. It was different than it is now. And that was something that allowed me to kind of jump right in.
And so you were ready. You were definitely ready,
Yeah.
and you knew that.
Yeah.
You knew. So you played against international competition. You said, "It can't get any better than this." So you're there, and you produced and you did your things. And then, so after the Hartford Whalers, I mean, you played in 3 Olympic games. And now you're the assistant coach for the Olympic team. You played in 3 Olympic games, in '98, in '88, '92, and 2002. And you were a silver medalist in 2002 in the Olympics. And then you played 3 world games, and you played 3 World Junior games, 3 years of World Junior games. So the international flavor that you've got and the international education that you got playing the games, it prepared you for your future NHL career, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. Like the World Juniors, the thing was at the time, I'm a kid from Clinton, and like I said, there's not the internet, there's not all these things that you can see these days. And when I played in the World Juniors, it's the best players in the world, 20 and under. I had no idea what it was all about. My first year, I was a senior at St. Mark's, and I went over there, and there were players on Canada that played in the NHL that were young that they allowed to go play in the World Juniors.
Correct, yeah.
And it was over my head at the time. I have to admit that. I'm a senior at St. Mark's, but the World Juniors, then it was, I think USA Hockey was grooming guys to go through that experience. So then second year, third year, you're not as in awe. And it worked. We won our first medal ever my second year, first medal ever by a World Junior team, and it was a bronze medal.
Right.
Now USA Hockey's winning gold medals at the World Juniors, so it's come a long way.
It's come a long way, and it's the development of the coaches like yourself, and also all the other prep leagues that are around the country that are preparing these kids for their future, and maybe an NHL team somewhere we can find them. And in your status is where they have to just see you someplace instead of like having a phone call or a video or all that kind of stuff. Like you explained earlier, that it's not like it was today as it was back then. And one of the things that somebody always says is that if you're good, they're going to find you.
I've said that many times. Because I got parents or that are looking for some advice, and I'm happy to share advice with parents anytime. It's
True.
all about trying to do the best for a parent and their children, but sometimes they might want to force the issue too early, and it's just basically like, if I always use and I might even get it wrong, but I say they found Jordan Tutu up with the Inuit Indian tribe up in wherever.
In
like,
Alaska someplace,
you know what?
right?
If you're good enough, they're going to find you. Word spreads, and scouts take notice, and they will fly anywhere to find the right player. So if you're good enough, they will find you.
And it's a world game now. It's not just like North America. It's just not Canada, the United States, like back in the 70s where it was just, Canada, the United States, if you were good, whatever. Now it's world. You've got players all over the world that are playing the NHL, which is a great thing, where we can see, there's some players out in Russia that we'll never know about, but they were just great hockey players back then. But because it was just limited to the North American hockey, that it was there, but then it expanded. Having all these Olympic games and all these World Junior games is bringing out the best hockey that people can watch on TV anywhere, and it's giving these kids, a 5-year-old or a 10 or 8-year-old kid watching TV now can see something on TV and say, "Wow, that's what I want to do," because now it's televised throughout the whole world. So it really has accumulated and really had gone skyrocketing, where people are seeing the game played at this kind of a level. And in your day and in my day to today, the game has increased. The level of speed is incredible.
Yeah, it's a really fast game, and just talking about how it is around the world. Like, I was over this year watching 3 of our prospects over in the Four Nations tournament over in Sweden. We have a Russian player, we have a Swedish player, we have a Finnish player playing in that particular tournament.
Yep.
But in Wilkes-Barre and up with the Penguins, we have guys from Russia, Czech,
Yep.
Finland, Sweden. We've got a lot of them. So it's a world game right now, and it's great to see how the game has grown. Mm-hmm. So. It's a big world, but hockey's a small world, so it's nice to be a part of it.
It sure is, and playing, and looking over your stats, everything else, you played 17 years in the NHL. 17 years in the NHL. I'm not sure if you realize that, but you did.
No, yeah, I do. I got that.
You played 17 years in the NHL for 7 different teams, and I'm gonna name the teams here that you played for. We played for the Hartford Whalers, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, the St. Louis Blues, the Dallas Stars, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Quebec Nordiques, and the Colorado Avalanche. So you traveled, and it's a great thing. You've been everywhere, and it's but to play in, and so 17 years in the NHL, you played over 1,100 games in the NHL. If somebody would have told you your first day at camp, say, "Scott, you're going to play 1,100 games in the NHL," what would you have said then?
Well, I would have thought they were crazy. I remember being in Hartford, and I remember talking to Dave Babbage.
Yep.
And we were talking about a player, and I think it was his 10th year in the league. And I was 20 years old. I said, "Oh, wow, that would be phenomenal. If I could play till I'm 30, what a dream that would be." And I was just I was a rookie at the time. Well, I was 37, turning 38 when I retired. So to be able to go that far, that's one of the most things I'm proud of is the amount of games and the amount of years that I could remain in the league. I'm very proud of that because it's a long time. It's longer than I ever would have expected. Mm-hmm. It's a hard game to last that long, and it's something that You know, it's players now, you have to learn, you have to adapt, you have to adjust. When I first came in the league, I didn't know how to work out. I worked out.
Right.
I thought I was working hard, but I wasn't. I learned very quickly, and I made a after probably 3 years in the league. You know, I said, I want to be in this league for a long time. I need to change. I have to start doing things differently.
Yep.
And but those are the things that you have to go through. And if you don't make those adjustments, if you refuse to, you're not going to be around that long.
And that helps you with the player development right now.
Yes.
Of
The
getting
player,
these-
one of the biggest things with player development is we've been in the league for 17 years. Myself and the rest of my staff, we've seen almost everything. On ice, off ice,
I'm
you
sure.
name it. We've seen it, and
Yeah.
we're very clear with the players that say, we're going to be open and honest with you because we've seen it all.
Yeah.
So just confide in us, and we're here to help you.
Yeah.
And nothing's been run by us yet that we haven't seen already. So
I'm sure of that. I'm very sure of that. So, you know, played over 1,100 games in the NHL, and then also included in that, you played an extra 141 playoff games, and you had 87 points in the playoffs. So, and one of and the greatest thing that you've ever done, in my opinion, is that you won 2 Stanley Cups. Ladies and gentlemen, he won 2 Stanley Cups. Some people play in the NHL for 20 years and don't even get a taste of that. And here you are, a kid from Clinton, Mass., proud as can be, can take that Stanley Cup home, and you did it twice. How does that feel?
yeah, that was something. I was so fortunate to be on the teams that I was on. And the first cup with Pittsburgh, that's when it kind of clicked with me that I have to work harder.
Yep.
Going through that, when I was playing with the Whalers, we hadn't got out of the first round.
Right.
So I thought winning the Stanley Cup was impossible because we never got out of the first round. I'm home for 2 months and I'm watching someone hoist the cup after
Right.
2 months. I can't even imagine playing that long at the time. Going through it with Pittsburgh and winning it, then I got a feel for what it took.
Yeah.
And I wanted to win it again really badly. And I know everybody on the team wanted to win it again.
Right.
So it's something that it's such a good feeling, and it changed my career path, and it changed my focus and motivation. And I think that was like a turning point for me
Wow.
to last in the league for a long time, as long as I did.
Wow. So you won the first Stanley Cup in '91 with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then you tasted victory again in '96 with the Colorado Avalanche. So when you're with Pittsburgh, you had the great Mario Lemieux, you had Yager, you had all these guys. That must have been, those are hockey heroes. You know, here you are, this kid from Clinton, and you're playing with Yager and Lemieux, and say, must be in the field. Now you go to Colorado Avalanche, you're playing with Joe Sakic and
Peter Forsberg, Patrick
Forsberg,
Waugh,
and Patrick Waugh, a good friend of mine. And here you are, you're playing it now, and then you win the Stanley Cup again in '96 with the Colorado Avalanche. It's like, now you've been at the finals twice, and you won twice. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you're
Thank
two for,
God.
You're two
because
for two.
I tell you what, you go that far. I'm fortunate that we went that far and won both, because I can't imagine being that close and
not-
losing, because there's so much that goes into it. And losing in the end, someone's got to lose, but
Right.
getting that close, you don't get that close very often. And very fortunate to play with the players, a lot of those players that you mentioned.
Right.
And when you look back at the history of the NHL, played with a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of
Yes.
legends,
Right.
against a lot of legends, played against Gretzky and Bork and all
Yeah.
them. And it's fantastic to be able to play with all these guys. Played with Chris Chelios on U.S. teams. And so it's just to be able to, now when you're watching NHL Network
Right.
and they're bringing up all these legends, it's kind of it's a good feeling to know that, hey, I know these guys personally. I've played with these guys.
Right.
They were teammates. And another thing is even playing in, I really liked the era that I played in, because I got to play in all the old buildings.
Right.
And I got to play in a lot of the new buildings. Now there's been new ones since I retired, obviously,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the old garden to the new garden, the old Maple Leaf Gardens to the new one, the
Canadian
old Forum to
to
the
the-
Bell Center.
right, exactly. All
Right
that.
through the league, my first game was in the old Chicago Stadium. Now it's United Center. So
Yeah.
those old arenas were fantastic. They
Fantastic.
were smoky. People were smoky. It was just like this.
People were right against the glass. They're right in your face.
On top of you.
Right on top of you.
And
You
I
can
just
hear
thought
everything.
it was great. Yeah.
You can hear everything.
Yeah, you could smell the sausages in the locker room on Causeway Street in the old Garden, and they were small buildings, and the ice sheets were small. Things happened fast. It was awesome.
Yeah. So playing against, that's one of the couple of questions I have later on. But playing against, all you people out there watching this show today is that, he played against Wayne Gretzky. He played with Mario Lemieux. Played with Yager. Played against Ray Bourque. Those are legends. Those are hockey. They are the best. And here you are, this kid from Clinton, Mass, and you're just on the ice and you're doing exactly what they're doing, and it doesn't faze you one iota. You're just there. You are a pro. You're doing your thing, and people looking up to you and wanting your autograph and all this kind of stuff. And how does that feel? It's just like, what does it feel like to do that?
Well, when you're going through it, everyone thinks it's a dream. Yes, it's a dream.
Yeah.
But you don't reach that dream unless you really work, and you have to be completely focused. And truthfully, there's a ton of pressure on you as a hockey player when you're in the NHL, and it's the business that it is.
Right.
You don't have a good game or you don't have a good week, it's tough. And it wasn't all just the bed of roses. It was tough, and,
Yes,
and it was hard work. And you got guys, you don't know. Somebody might take your head off one night. If you're not ready, you're not alert. It's a physical game that somebody might grab you and try to fight you. Like there's so many things that you got to be on your toes, and you play 82 games a year. Well, 80 back in the day, and playoffs. It's a tough go.
Right.
The autograph signing and all that's good, but you might come out of a game, you lost and you didn't play well, or you turned the puck over and they scored. You're not feeling so good, and you're signing a couple autographs, but you're not feeling good about yourself. So it's hard. There's a lot of pressure on these guys.
The preparation, you can let all the kids out there that are watching the show or who will watch it, the preparation that goes into playing a certain game like that. I know myself when I play the game is preparation. You get ready, and now you're an NHL player. The preparation that you guys do before each game is incredible. And to let the kids know that watch this and say, what's it take to be able to just go on the ice and perform the way you perform. It just does not happen. It's something that you have to really prepare yourself for for a game that it could be one of your best games, it could be one of your worst games. But now you have to gear yourself up after each game to prepare yourself for the next one. How do you work into that?
Well, it's a grind. It's a grind. The NHL is a grind. You got to, and the preparation piece. I mean, you go through your daily routine. You wake up, you have your oatmeal, and you go to the rink and have a practice. On a game day, you come home. Well, after practice, you take an ice bath. Get in there, freeze your legs for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You go home, have spaghetti and chicken lunch, and take a nap, and wake up, have a coffee, take a shower, have a coffee, and go into the rink a couple hours before the game. Right. And these are all the things that nobody sees. They just think that a player jumps onto the ice and they're having fun.
Exactly.
And there's so much work that goes into it. And then you do a warm-up in the gym. You get you might do a little bit of weights, maybe a couple sprints on the bike, then you go out and warm up on the ice. Right. So you're ready when the puck drops, you're ready to take off. I mean, you're ready to play hard.
Right.
And all of it goes into that game. Now, maybe you don't have a great first period. You do everything you can to make sure you have a great second.
Right, exactly.
And you might not have a great second, so you're still pushing it to get ready in between periods. Just have a good third. It's all about the game. Everything is designed around the game. You're trying to sleep properly, you're trying to eat properly, and then never mind, in your off season in the summer, you got the summers off, but you got to work out all summer to make sure you're ready for training camp. And you can't just, you got to take some time off, you got to relax.
Right.
There is a rest period, but you can't just, it's not the old days when, the Bruins showed up to training camp out of shape to get in shape. That no longer exists. You have to be in tip-top shape. Yeah. You get tested when you show up at camp. You get bike tested. You have, tubes stuck down your throat and your nose pinched with, doing the VO2 test on a bike. It's difficult and it's stressful. because you're stressed out in August. You're stressed out if I worked hard enough, and when you're going into camp to do well on these tests.
Right. You are a professional athlete, and you have to be professional at what you're doing. You have to be professional at organizing your body and everything else, because, like you said, it is a grind to play an 80-game schedule and to go through, and the travel and everything else that goes into it, and the body sores and the wounds, everything else. So, I mean, to play that, and now to be able to play 17 years in the NHL, it's amazing. It's an awesome thing to be able to to do something like that, and to prepare yourself for each game every year continuously. That's on your mind, the whole thing. It's not like it's not party time.
And you're right, and you're playing pretty beat up too. There's times you're playing with
Right.
I dislocated my shoulder. I took 10 days and got ready for the playoffs, but you're putting a brace on. I'm waking up every 3 hours to ice it down to make sure I could get back for the playoffs as fast as possible. There's all kinds of things you're playing with that are banged up. Fortunately, you do get you get accustomed to it. You do get adjusted to it. But ice packs and hot packs are all over you all season long.
It's your best friend.
It's the way it works, but I just love the resilience and the toughness of hockey players to play through things.
Right.
When a guy gets cut, you get stitched up for 10 in your face or whatever, and you go back out and you finish the game. I love that, the character that goes along with being a hockey player.
Mm-hmm. So, after winning your 2 Stanley Cups, and then in 2017, so you won your last cup in '96, and now you have another accomplishment that comes your way in 2017. You become a member of the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. That's the United States. That's just not Massachusetts. You're talking United States Hockey Hall of Fame. Wow.
Yeah, I was never much for. If I didn't get named, I wouldn't have been mad or anything. I'm never really looking for individual accolades.
Usually hockey.
But when I got the call, I got really excited about it. I have to admit that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't waiting on it. I had
Right.
other people tell me over the years, "Why aren't you in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame?" And I said, "Whatever. That doesn't matter." You know.
Right.
But when I got the call, it was a special call,
I'm sure it was.
It was a real special night. We had, a table full of family, and then a table full of my Clinton buddies again. They got a table. They rented out a table at 10, and they were there for me, and it was a really special night.
It's a great accomplishment, and after having all the stuff that you have done in your whole career, and you look back at it now, and then what made you, or where did it come into your mind and you say, this is it, I'm not going to play anymore? How do you retire gracefully? How do you retire and say, I think I did it?
Yeah, well, there was a couple things. First of all, we had a really tough year in St. Louis, and my years in St. Louis.
Yeah, you finished last in that.
Yeah,
that
so
year.
my first 4 years in St. Louis, and then I went to Dallas for 2, and then back to St. Louis.
Yeah.
My first 4 years in St. Louis, we were really good.
Yeah.
We were selling out every night, and we were
Play
competing.
Brett Hull? Did you play with Brett?
No, I always followed Brett. I played with him on U.S. teams.
Okay. Yeah.
So we had a tough year, and the one thing that I was thinking about was, do I have the energy to work out and commit myself to preparing for another season? And I could have. I could have played for another year. I had a couple teams that were interested in trading for me when I was with St. Louis at the deadline. But I honestly, I can't see myself going through the summer of workouts that I normally do to prepare for a season. Now, we did contact Boston, myself and my agent.
Yeah.
I think that would have given me a little bit of renewed life.
That would have been awesome. Yeah.
And we had contacted them over the years when I was a free agent, but that didn't quite work out. And I just said, I can't. I let some time pass. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. But I could have played but I couldn't see myself
Looks
pushing.
like you're in playing shape right now.
But if you can't prepare yourself like
Right.
you normally do in a summer, and you're not completely committed to doing it,
Yeah.
then I felt it was time.
So how did you actually, it took some time, I'm sure, to make that decision, to say, did you look yourself in the mirror and say, Scott, you're done?
No, it was in the back of my mind for a little while. I let it kind of sit for a little while.
Yeah.
And then finally, like I said, we poked around Boston a little bit, and I said, no, that's it. I think that's it. That's enough. And I was happy with it. And the one thing that I wanted to do, I thought about it before the lockout, because that was after 2 years in Dallas.
Yeah.
But I had finished that year in Dallas. I got hurt. I wasn't hurt a lot in my career, but I got hurt for a while that last season. And I wanted to go out. I didn't want to go out not having a decent year. Now, we didn't have a good year as a team with St. Louis. But I played, I think, 81 of 82 games and had close to 20 goals, 18 goals. But I felt like all right, I'm going out on my own terms.
Right.
It's not because of an injury. And I'm not hanging on until I'm getting sat out of the lineup every other night.
Exactly.
I'm going out on my own terms. So that was important.
It feels good to do that,
Yeah.
So now after your playing career was over, I understand that you got into the coaching aspect of the game, so now you're giving back of all the experience that you had in the NHL. You're giving back. Now you went and you coached at your alma mater, St. Mark's, for another 4 years, and you did a great job over there. I remember when you were there, because I remember hearing that you were coaching at St. Mark's. I said, wow, that's great. And then you went on to BU and helped out BU with Parker again, correct?
No, that was with David Quinn.
David Quinn, exactly. So now, after your NHL career, does this hit you and say, I'm going to start coaching, or did it just come along and say, I want to do this?
There was actually a time that I was playing and I said, I'm never going to coach. I can't imagine being a coach. And I said it about scouting too, which there's a lot of scouting that I do right now.
Right, yeah.
I'm not technically a scout, but I do a lot. Everybody scouts.
Right.
And I said, I don't want to be a scout either. I can't believe these guys. They go through all this stuff. But what I did was, a lot of guys have a plan before they're even retired, and they want to just be a part of the game right away.
Right.
I took some time off.
Yeah.
I wanted to take my kids over to the rink, take my kids whatever they were doing. I had 2 boys playing hockey at the time. Help coach them. That's a full-time job. I don't know how anybody does that.
It is. It really is.
It was at the rink, probably 5 days a week, away all the weekends, traveling for tournaments and everything. But I wanted to spend that time, so I think I retired in 06, 05, 06, and I didn't start working at St. Mark's, I think, until 2010. So there's 4 years there that I just wanted to it wasn't a big plan. The risk there is you're out of the game for a little bit, and that's where guys don't feel super comfortable.
Strong
but
again.
I just needed to take some time away.
Yeah.
St. Mark's thing came up, and I said, you know what, that'd be a lot of fun. It's a nice way to start. And I didn't have any end goal to coach in the NHL or whatever. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I did it, and then BU came up, and David Quinn asked me. I said, that'll be good. There's never, for me, it's not I'm going to do this to get here or this to get there.
Right.
I do it because I want to do it.
Exactly.
And then opportunities come up, and I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And if the right opportunity comes up, great.
Yeah. So, before we part, after this interview, there's a couple questions I want to get, to ask you about and help out the people that are out there. What is the message that you would give to kids today in all kinds of sports? What kind of message would you give them to do as far as either hockey players or any kind of athletic sports that they want to do in the future? What would be your recommendation, or how would you fill that in?
You got to have fun at what you're doing. You got to have fun. Make sure you're out there having fun and you have a passion for the game. And if you do, you have to work hard.
Right.
You just have to work hard. Don't be thinking of, when you're a peewee, hey, it might be a dream to play in the NHL, but you know what? Enjoy being a peewee.
Right.
Enjoy playing
where
you are. Don't be always thinking of, I got to do this to get into a prep school, and then you're at prep school, I got to do this to get to a Division I school. Just never mind. Let it all happen.
Let it happen.
Just concentrate on what you're doing, where you are. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Do you remember your first NHL goal?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's actually, I had 2 first NHL goals, and I'll explain that.
Okay.
One was in the playoffs. My first goal was in the playoffs against Patrick Roy.
Really?
With Hartford.
Okay.
But they don't count that because it's in the playoffs.
Oh, okay. All right.
The following year, my first NHL goal that they counted was against Patrick Roy.
Wow. I'll have to tell him that when I see him.
So there's the two first, so they don't really count your playoff stats as your.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, it
Two
was good.
first playoff. That's awesome. So, being from Clinton, and I grew up in this area. I've been here longer than you've been here. I mean, I grew up in Leominster. I lived here my whole life. My idol was Bobby Orr.
Same.
You come after me. Who was your
Same.
idol?
Mine was Bobby Orr.
Bobby.
I think I saw him play once, maybe at the Garden. But my dad used to sneak me into the old Garden. He knew a security guard. He'd sneak me in. We didn't have seats. I'd be sitting behind a pole or something because it was the only seats available. But he used to go underneath and wait for autographs. And there was only a few people that got allowed. Maybe it was 10 kids or so. And I remember waiting with the program for the game for autographs. And I remember waiting for Bobby Orr, Gilles Gilbert, Jean Rattel, all these guys. But I remember waiting there and getting Bobby Orr's. He signed. I went right to the back of the line again and waited for another one. And, but I remember getting Jerry Cheevers, and these are all the guys that I tried to watch with the Bruins that I loved. But back then, if you remember TV 38, it was all snow. You could barely see it.
Right.
I would lay down, lay on the carpet in front of the TV.
Right.
And I'd only get a couple of minutes, and it would turn to snow. So it was hard to watch the games, and I wish we could watch them like you could these days.
Oh, God, yes.
But I do remember that, and then Bobby Orr ended up being my agent at one point. He took over. He was my agent, so I got to know Bobby pretty well. And it's a special thing to get to know these guys. I played in some Bruins alumni games with Gary Doak and all these guys. So it's nice.
And I played against you in an alumni game at Cushing Academy with you and Tom Pody.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of you and Tom Pody with my grandson in the hallway.
It's such a good feeling. Like, you got to have a lot of respect for the guys before you. And these guys, I loved them. And I feel honored to be able to hang with them and talk to them and have a beer with them. They're great people.
Yeah. What is your most memorable moment playing in the NHL or hockey in general?
Well, winning Stanley Cups. I mean, that's the obvious. I mean, though that's the most spectacular thing you can. It's just tremendous.
There's nothing.
One of them was in Minnesota and one was in Florida, and Florida having all the rats be thrown at us, the plastic rats coming down. It was fantastic.
Right.
But there are some other ones. There's we beat Boston 1-0 with Hartford one time. I got that one goal.
Wow.
Mike Liut was in net. Like, there's an old timer, Mike Liut.
Oh yeah.
So there's some of those OT goal type thing, but Stanley Cup is it.
Is it? It is. Who do you think? Back in the day when you were playing, who was your biggest fan?
My biggest fan.
Yeah.
My parents.
Your parents.
They went to everything.
They went to everything.
Every single game. I never once remember them missing a game until I got to college, if we were in Minnesota or something like that.
Yeah.
But they were at every home game in Hartford, every home game in college, every high school game, wherever that was.
Yeah.
And then they came out of the Olympics. They were just there, and it was a great feeling.
That's special.
To look up and see them. They would take work off. We played at 3:00 on Wednesdays over at St. Mark's.
Yeah.
They'd find a way to get out of work and make it. And it's something that I try to do with my kids, but I'm traveling so much I can't.
I know.
But I try to do everything I can, because I remember it. It really sticks out to me.
It is a moment where, now did they, growing up, playing ice hockey, did they push you to play this game, or you played it because you loved this game?
No, they didn't push me at all. Like I said, Tommy Williams.
Did your father skate? Did you?
No. That was the thing, and that's what they just wanted me to have fun. There was never an end goal. It wasn't like, oh, you're good enough to play. You can play D1 hockey someday, or you can play in the NHL. Yeah. None of that. It was never even a thought. It didn't cross their mind.
Right.
They went and watched me, and they were just hoping that I was having fun, and I started to do well, and they were proud of me, and it just kind of went to where it went to, and I think it was just as much of a surprise to them.
Right.
But there was never a pushing me to get there.
Yeah.
Not at all, ever.
So what do you? So now we're getting prepared for the Team USA out in Beijing, China. and I know that we can't have NHL hockey players today. Where are the players coming from?
Well, we went through a good process of picking this team. We had a lot of Zoom calls, and the way that you have to choose the team from having seen the players play, or we got to pull up some film on some of these guys.
Yep.
And we probably went through six calls. This year, I was the assistant coach in 18 in Pyeongchang also. And I had just taken the Pittsburgh job. So I hadn't seen as many of the players.
Yep.
I wasn't as familiar. This year, I'm more familiar because I've been on the road and watching all these players for 5 years. So we've got players from Europe that are playing in the KHL, that are playing in
a lot of AHL players.
The DHL, the DEL in Germany, the KHL. We've got a few AHL players, and we have a lot of college players.
And these are all American-born players.
Yes, they have to be, yep.
And any college kids?
Lots of college players.
A lot of college players.
Yep.
Did you have some kind of a tryout? Is there some, or is it just you're just picking?
No, we couldn't do it. We had to go with our previous history of the player and going out and watching the players, which most of it had already been done. We had a very short window to pick this team. Once the NHL decided they weren't going, we had a short window.
Exactly.
But like I said, we're being more familiar with the players. Myself, certain other of the coaches. We have two coaches that are coaching that are head coaches, Brett Larson at St. Cloud State and Mike Hastings in Minnesota State, in Mankato. So they see these guys all the time. They're playing against a lot of these college players. So we have a good feel of this team, and I feel good about it. I think we have a really good team.
So as far as how much time you're going to have to practice, or you're not going to be able to practice as a team or as a group?
We'll get to practice. We're going to L.A.
Yeah.
We'll get to practice twice in L.A. We fly to Beijing, and we'll get, I think we're going to have an exhibition game, which we did not have in 18 against Canada.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have 5 practices other than that. So it's got to come together quickly.
It's got to come together quickly. And the team's got to gel together. And they got to know what their role is and everything else as they get there. Because now you got people from all different places getting together and forming one team. So it's tough on the coaches, I'm sure, to be able to get these guys on the same page. And there's not like no script that you say, okay, guys, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You guys going out there and going all out.
Yeah, so I'm one of the power play guys that's going to run the power play. We have a couple of us that are going to do that, and we'll send out some slides, and we'll go over some video, and we'll send them out on the early side before the practices, so guys will have a feel where they're going to be. But a lot of this stuff, you got to remember, these guys they've been playing. They've played these systems before.
Right.
It's a matter of getting comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
So. And the other thing that's really, 2018, we went through it. These guys are just thrilled, to be in this situation. So we are going to get every ounce of commitment being over there because and you're an Olympian. It's a special thing, and they all realize that. And a lot of them have played for U.S. teams in the past.
Correct.
Whether it be World Juniors or whether it be different Four Nations and all these things. Yeah. So they're familiar with putting the jersey on, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. So now USA, all teams can dress 20 players, or what's
We can go a little more. We can dress an extra forward and an extra defenseman.
How many can you carry with you?
So we're going to go over there with 5 lines, 8 defensemen, and 3 goalies. So we like our team. We like our team. I mean, in 18, we went through this process. We had a little longer to go through it.
Yeah.
And we had a player hit a post with 2 minutes to go that would have sent us into the semifinals. Mm-hmm. And we ended up losing that in a shootout. We didn't score in the 5 shootout shots, and they scored 1 goal, the Czechs. That's how narrow that the room for error is. So why can't we go win a gold medal? I mean, it's that close. You know what I mean?
Right.
We would have been playing for a medal if one of those pucks went in.
Right, exactly. So and now in today's world, and you're playing the Olympics now, right? There's no NHL players, so now you guys are actually playing against, there's no Ovechkins, there's nothing like that. You're just playing against all the other. You're on the same level now.
Well, not quite.
Okay.
We're playing against David Krejci,
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
there are professional leagues like
Yeah,
the KHL.
okay.
They're all pros.
Yeah, right.
They're not in the NHL, but,
Right, but
some of
they're
them
still-
are NHL players.
Right.
And similar to other leagues, like there's Swedish leagues that are very good, Finnish leagues.
Yeah.
But Canada's in the same boat we are. And like I said, we were so close in 18. Why can't we do it? So,
yeah.
but there are some seasoned vets on some of these other teams.
I'm sure there are. I appreciate you being here and talking about the Olympics. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Olympics will be coming in. I don't know, when's your very first game? Is there a scheduled game, a date for your first game?
Yeah, our first real game is against China on the 10th. Then we have a day off. Then we play Canada and Germany back-to-back.
All right, so February 10th will be the startup of the U.S. Olympic hockey team. We're looking forward. I'm looking forward to it, and get to see you behind the bench and do your magic with all these players and all that kind of stuff. Get them to be going. And you're playing for Team USA, and it's such a thrill for these young kids to be able to put that jersey on, and they're playing for the country. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you here today, to give the people out there an advance of what is going to happen when we get to China, and see what's going to happen in the Olympic hockey and all that kind of stuff, because it's everybody watches worldwide, so this is going to be something special to do, and to be named assistant coach, I'm sure you're proud of that, and you being there 3 times before, and World Juniors 3 times before, and on the international level. I think they picked a good guy, Scott.
Well, I'm excited about it. It's one of those things, you don't know if it's going to come along. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to get going.
Good, that's great. That's
so
awesome.
It's going to be exciting. Hopefully everyone gets to watch. From here, it's a 13-hour time difference.
Right, exactly.
So, but they'll explain all that on television, I guess.
Right,
and,
they will. Yeah, they'll let us all know.
And I'm hoping we can go over there and get it done.
We're going for gold, baby. We're going for gold. We're going for gold.
Yeah.
We want to come back with a gold medal. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost time to wrap this up here. And, Scott, I really appreciate you coming in today and taking time out of your busy, hectic schedule that you have. I really appreciate that. And LTV, appreciate you coming in here and giving us an update of what's happening with the world of hockey and your involvement in the U.S. hockey also, the Team USA. I wish you nothing but the best. Give it a go.
Yep.
Give it hell. Just do what you have to do, and we'll be watching. We'll be rooting for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I want to thank Scott for being here today, and I just hope that we can maybe have this discussion later on next year and say, Ray, how did you like that? How did you like that? How did we do? All that kind of stuff. But again, it's been a pleasure for have you here. And LTV, thanks you for stopping in and giving us your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people out there or anything like that, or before we close up?
No, I'd just like to say thank you, for having me, and thank you for the support. It's excellent to get all this support, especially locally. I live down the street. I'm at lunch at Paisano's, and I'm around here all the time. So don't be afraid to say hello.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love the people of Leominster. That's always.
So one of these days when that camera's on you down in China, and you just say, "Go Leominster."
No, Leominster's a great town. So it's.
And then we'll say, you're thinking about us. But anyways, thank you people for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Scott Young, former professional hockey player, now the assistant coach for the Team USA that's going to Beijing, China. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully they come back with a gold medal, and maybe we get him back on and he can talk about all his experiences that happened in China and bringing home that gold medal. So again, thank you, Scott, for joining us. Thanks, LTV, for having us. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and good night. Thank you for joining us. Good night, everybody.